The Miami Redhawks are 31-0 in college basketball and getting ready to start the MAC tournament and start their march towards the NCAA tournament. However, they're not the only program in Southwest Ohio that is making noise. The Miami football team is looking to do the exact same thing in 2026 and beyond. We're going to talk about it next here on the College Huddle. 87 independent podcasts from coast to coast. You've landed on home base here on YouTube for the College Huddle. Smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Ring the bell, get notified. Also, let us know what you think about what we think down in the comment section below. Tell us to have a good Wednesday. Tell us where you're watching from. Anything in the comment section. We appreciate that very, very much. If you are a Miami, Ohio Redhawk fan, we'd love to meet you. Introduce yourself down in the comment section below. We'd like to say hi to you. Of course, check out the website, thecollegehuddle.com, to find your next favorite college football podcast right here on the College Huddle. The Miami Redhawks, 31-0 in basketball, man. They are a story and a half. Of course, I live right here in the state of Ohio, and so it's been fun to follow that story, follow that basketball team and their journey as they march toward a perfect 31-0 regular season and into the postseason, where some are saying they have to win the MAC tournament to still get into the NCAA tournament. Others saying, not so fast, my friend. If they happen to stumble or fall in the MAC tournament, 31-0 in the regular season, that deserves a spot in the field of 68. Regardless of what or how you might feel about that, come on, it's a great story. But they're not the only program there in Oxford, Ohio, on the campus of Miami of Ohio, that has got plans or aspirations for a really big postseason. The football team has made some serious noise to the point where they were highlighted in an article on CBS Sportsline where the author Chris Hummer laid out a very interesting timeline, if you will, of how Miami, despite having really good success under head coach Chuck Martin, how they are looking to take the next step in their I guess you could say evolution of becoming a major player in the G5. Now, the basketball team already doing that. Can the football team do it? Well, they've been pretty doggone good under Chuck Martin, to say the least. I'll lay that out for you here in just a few minutes. But if they're going to take that next step, if they're going to kind of equal what has happened with the basketball team, then they're going to have to retain players because Miami, although they've been good, they've lost a lot to the transfer portal, and such is the case really when it comes to G5 schools. A lot of them, when they are really good, they lose their best players to Power 4 schools where these kids go on to try to, I guess you could say, elevate their play so that they can get noticed and possibly make it to the NFL. And so there's this give and take usually happens with a lot of the really good programs in the G5. They lose players, but then they also get players from Power 4 schools with kids who were highly recruited who didn't maybe were passed over or didn't get a chance to play and feel like they're stuck. And so then they kind of trickle down to the G4, and it's this whole give and take that happens. And such has been the case with Miami. But all of a sudden, there's been a little bit of a change of philosophy there in Oxford. Chuck was tired of losing guys to the Power 4. He had put together a package. It's written in the article. It's a great story where he had put together about $80,000 to offer several players in NIL, and when it was all said and done, every one of those players went elsewhere because they just didn't have the money to offer like the Power 4 schools were going to offer some of these kids. And so he's like, man, we got to do something about that. And so The powers that be there in Miami were able to raise a pretty substantial amount of NIL for this roster when it comes to retention, as well as the transfer portal going out and getting some bigger name players than what they've gotten in the past. And some early kind of like rumors and things, some, I guess you could say, some buzz is that this NIL, or this roster that's going to be playing for Miami in 2026, is going to be upwards of about $8 million in value. Now that's interesting, to go from 80,000 to 8 million. Expectation level obviously a little higher as well for the Red Hawks. But how did we get here? Well, Chuck Barton is an interesting guy when you really start to learn about the man. Uh, he's from Illinois, originally from Park Forest, Illinois. Played his football at Millikin. Not really sure what Millikin is. Millikin Big Blue, intercollegiate athletic program in Millikin University, located in Decatur, Illinois. There you go. He was a safety as well as a kicker, and then he was a guard in basketball. So pretty athletic guy back in the mid 80s there. Started his coaching career in the early 90s and was able to, in 2000, land a spot with Grand Valley State, where he later became the head coach in 2004. And he coached there for until 2009. And then in 2010, he was brought on as the defensive backs coach at Notre Dame. He coached at Notre Dame for 4 seasons before getting the head job there in Oxford, Miami, Ohio, in 2014, and he's been there ever since. He has a record there at Miami of 72 and 74. He has a conference record of 57 and 34. He's been to 5 conference championship games and he's won 2 of them. And here's a great stat for you. He's been to the last 3 MAC championship games in a row. In a row. He's made it to the MAC championship 3 years in a row. And he's been to 5 consecutive bowl games beginning in 2021. He also went to a bowl game in 2019, throw out 2020 because they only played 3 games that entire season due to COVID. So you can just throw that out the window, and I will. 6 consecutive bowl games. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive, to say the least. Won 2 of them. 2021, they were the Frisco Football Classic Bowl champion, and then 2024, they were the Arizona Bowl champion. Best season in Miami was in 2023. They were 11 and 3 overall, 7 and 1 in the conference, and they lost in the Cure Bowl in 2023. So, what's it going to take to get to the next step? Because obviously, he's a very good football coach. He's done a very good job there at Miami. Well, obviously, they're going to have to get some NIL, right? That's the whole point here, and that's really what he's got to do. So, mission accomplished. NIL numbers higher. Retain some players. Let's talk about that too. He retained a lot of guys. They only lost a handful of guys this past season to some bigger programs. They lost Cole Weaver to Syracuse. He was a wide receiver. They lost Adam Trick, a defensive edge rusher, to Texas Tech, and they lost Coy Beasley, a safety, to Kansas State. That's really all they lost. Everything else was gain here. They got Micah Coleman, an edge rusher from Cincinnati, to come in. They've got a tight end, Christian Ross from Memphis. And then look at some of the Power 5 kids coming in. Mason Ellens, a safety from Iowa State, will be playing his ball at Miami this year. Devontae Armstrong, an interior offensive lineman from Ohio State, transferred to the Red Hawks. You had Devin Hyatt, a wide receiver from Arizona, transfer to Miami. Cade, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Yakamaletti, maybe? I don't know. Cade Y, running back from Wisconsin, comes to Miami. Demarion Witten, kid from Ohio State as well. He was a wide receiver. He was also a tight end as well. He's coming down to Miami from Columbus, Ohio. And then how about a quarterback, David McComb from Kansas, coming to Miami. Ben Minchie, or Minich, for a safety from Notre Dame. He played his high school ball at Lakota West, right there, just right beside Oxford. He's coming from Notre Dame back to Miami. This is I mean, like, this is some serious stuff here. Miami is going to have the reputation coming up this year of being one of the better group of five schools. Just looking at the roster, and when you invest $8 million in your roster at the group of five level, you should be one of the better ones with some higher expectations. Now, obviously, given the expansion of the playoffs, the CFP, and given the fact that one group of five or the best of group of five should be is good, it's going to be in the college football playoff next year and moving forward. Miami has to feel like, you know what? We got a decent shot. Why not us? The first thing you want to do is, obviously, you got to win your conference and go undefeated in your conference. Miami might be able to do that. Like I said, they've gone to the conference championship 3 years in a row. Why not make it four and win the doggone thing and go undefeated in your conference? You're just basically a couple games away from doing that. But then you have to look at their non-conference schedule, because a lot of these schools, especially in the MAC, will schedule basically an unwinnable game, and they'll get $1 million+, and that funds their athletic department for the year, right? So, what does the Red Hawks 2026 non-conference schedule look like? Well, they have an away trip in game number one. They are on the road at Pitt. So they're going to take on the Pitt Panthers from the ACC. If they can go into Pittsburgh and they can upset Pitt in game number one, watch out, because that might be the most talented team they play all year. They get Holy Cross at home. That should be a winnable football game. They play Cincinnati, which is a rivalry game. They play Cincinnati at Paycor Stadium. They're in Cincinnati in a mutual, I guess you could say, it's not necessarily a home game for the Bearcats, but it is. And then they get UConn at home. UConn had a very good season last year. Miami, roster-wise, might be able to beat UConn too, just looking at that on paper. Pitt, Cincinnati, UConn. If they win those three games and they go undefeated, you're looking at what they did in basketball being copied in football. You're looking at the group of five team who's going to make the CFP in 2026 in the Miami Redhawks. Is it likely? No. But is it impossible? It's not impossible. And if you're going to spend that kind of money on a roster, those expectations are going to start to rise. And hey, man, look at the basketball team. Football team probably looking at each other going, why not us? Right? It's going to be an interesting team to follow and watch in 2026. If you're a Miami fan, let me know. What are your expectations for in 2026, and what do you think about this move by your football team and the donors to invest that much money in your roster to get to the next level? Let me know what you guys all think down in the comment section below. We'll be back with more college football content for you right here on the College Huddle.